Let me just grab those and boom, boom. Okay, so we're looking at the ES chart, E-mini S&P 500, June contract 2023. Today is June 11th, and we are doing like a weekly forecast, kind of forecasting the important levels. So right now, with where we're trading on ES, we've been quite extended on the upside for a while, reaching up into a higher time frame premium level where you're less inclined to be a long-term buyer and more inclined to be a long-term seller. Now, obviously, this takes a while to play out on the higher time frame. I do believe that this year will continue in a bearish fashion soon, right? There is still some higher time frame objectives. So right now, my eyes are on this monthly order block here. Took candle body liquidity on the highs and on the lows, right? And we've definitely respected this open of the candle. Now you're probably thinking, why don't you have it pinned right to the low of this candle right there? And that's because the low of this candle comes in at 43.08. So I'm just moving that to the nearest institutional level or psychological level, whatever you want to call it. Higher time frame, that is going to give you a more accurate level, especially on order blocks. Now, trading up into it, we're respecting it, which is good. So if we do get a signal of trading lower from here, I'm fine with that. On a 2-week, start to zoom in, and you have this gap up here, right? Within this order block, you have this gap, zero price action. I'm assuming that we want to reach up for that. I don't have it fully marked out yet. I don't think it's pertinent for this week. Even the mean threshold of this order block is a stretch for this week. But August highs look good to me. NASDAQ's already taken August highs. So what I'm assuming we're going to do is, you see how we have this weekly fair value gap here? Let me just drop down to a weekly chart now. We have a weekly fair value gap right here, along with a pretty large volume imbalance. Now, this was caused by a holiday. I'm not sure exactly how pertinent that is, but I have it in there, and I have this weekly fair value gap as well. But I'm assuming that this week we could potentially drop into this fair value gap, maybe clear some of these overly, I guess, overzealous bullish buyers, right? People who are just really trying to be long here, maybe, induce some short selling. Now, off that order block, it should provide some, rejection. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine. Like, I think that this is a really obvious target here. It wants to get there. But in terms of my anticipation, I believe that on a daily chart, we're a little bit overextended and we're starting to slow down here at this monthly order block. So with this being our daily dealing range here and the dotted lines, you can see we're in a premium for sure. And we could reach up higher. But I believe before we reach up higher, we're going to want to trade into this weekly fair value gap here. Now, if we trade into this weekly fair value gap this week, right, bearishly, for me, that'll probably be enough to just stop trading ES, at least short. And the reason for that is because we have a really strong draw on liquidity with this August buy side. So we drop down into this weekly fair value gap, maybe like it's still technically a premium, but I would assume that dropping down into this volume imbalance would be like if we get a little bit overextended into there, which is fine, perfectly fine. We got a daily order block here to support that and a daily fair value gap as well. So if we, get really deep into a bearish move this week, then that's probably where we're going to go. In terms of longs, I'm not really comfortable with longing, at least above this fair value gap. This is a potential order block, though I don't feel like it's gonna play out. If you give it like a 4 hour quick look here, we've ran buy stops here, right? Nice strong up close candle, and I'm assuming with this rejection off this monthly order block, we're probably gonna trade lower, market structure shift into here, and either drive into this fair value gap fully and close it into the weekly volume imbalance, which makes sense because we have that 4 hour gap as well. So that daily dealing range definitely helps with understanding if we're at a premium or if we're at a discount. Now, that's pretty much my anticipation for ES. So yeah, nothing else. NASDAQ, so NQM 2023. This is the June contract. So as we could see, we're kind of in a similar situation to ES with the monthly order block. Now, we've already reached and traded through the open, so I've disregarded that. Again, I just need to make those levels here. I'll do it later. Key point is this dashed line here, which is the mean threshold of this order block, right? Coming in at 14,650. And I've had a little bit of a faint highlight up here just in case we want to use hundreds as our institutional levels for the mean threshold, which would be 14,800. Now, we've respected this mean threshold level of that monthly order block, and we're coming off of that implied fair value gap, right? In May, nice explosive move upwards. NQ doesn't give us as much data to analyze in terms of historical data on the futures chart, which is the only chart that I really trust right now. So if we're looking at a 2 week, we've traded through and filled this gap, and we've, kind of came back and used it as support, if you want to call it that, support. We've created this 2 week fair value gap, which could be a potential discount array later on, or a premium array if flipped. On a weekly chart, we have this fair value gap here, right? Now, this fair value gap, again, just if I put it up to here, it's 14,248. So just round it down to the next institutional number. We're looking at 14,220, right? Could go down to 14,200. Same with the consequent encroachment, you got 14,100. So it's looking like a similar setup on ES. And if we drop down to a daily time frame, we have this volume imbalance here, which could drive price lower. We've kind of consolidated, which is expected. We had NFP week 2 weeks ago, and last week was very minimal news. So been consolidating, right, an accumulation pattern, which is normal for the first 2 weeks of the month. And now we could potentially be seeing some manipulation. Now, what's going to be interesting is, are we going to see bullish or bearish manipulation? I think with our overextension here on the upside, we are probably going to want to remove some buyers from the market. These lows look too clean, but so do these highs. So it's kind of calling it both ways right now. And my eyes are, if we are trading from and respecting a monthly premium array, we're probably going to reach down for some sort of discount array in this fair value gap on the weekly, or this volume imbalance on the daily chart. If you look on the 4 hour, right, it kind of paints a little bit of a nicer picture with these candle bodies being liquidated here on Friday. And just as something I use as a tip, you look here, remove the wicks, and you see that's a liquidity run, and right up into that mean threshold of that order block, identical, right? If you look at the close of this candle, it comes in over here at the close, see at C, comes in at 14,653 3/4, right? Very accurate in terms of this order block mean threshold. So I'm looking for I'm anticipating a potential drop down, right? Create the liquidity up here because there's still going to be people who are early shorts in the market. And I think if they really want to buy this thing, they gotta make a run up higher, continuously liquidate early shorts. The market doesn't look good in my eyes. I think we are bearish, but that's what I'm seeing right now. So if we leave these highs from previous week, we could drive down lower, right, into discounts, potentially induce some more early shorts so that when we do come up here, they think it's, that whole, triple top look, and they're really just going to get liquidated. And same for down here, right? You bring it down here, these bulls are going to be jumping all over it, thinking that this is a discount, and they'll buy it up. But we got a big gap in here, right? Even on the 4 hour, we're showing. On the daily, we're showing that fair value gap highlighted in green here, or volume imbalance rather, and you definitely got a 4 hour imbalance there as well. So in terms of like a dealing range on a 4 hour chart, discount comes in, right around consequent encroachment of this fair value gap here. And if I just, dealing range that, you can see that's kind of what I'm anticipating right now. I mean, like a short-term dealing range, you're looking at this being a premium, and let me just leave that. This being up in here in premium. So I like this 4 hour up close candle as a potential order block here, just because it's taking the body liquidity up here. And if we drive down with some displacement below this low, I think I would be short bias into, all of next week, especially with this heavy calendar that we got with all this red news. So it should be a fruitful week. And if we get really overextended and trade bearishly, then I think that this daily volume imbalance should be a target to fill. And at that point, we'd be at a good enough discount to drive the price higher and maybe reach up into that 14,800 level. I'm not trying to call a top here. I'm just saying if short term we do have a retracement on a higher time frame, then it would allow for some nice trading opportunities in intraday, intra-week. I wouldn't necessarily say swing. So yeah, that's my outlook on NQ. Dixie. So Dixie's been kind of consolidating all year. These are monthly candles, so there's definitely some sustained rallies within each one of these candles. But for the most part, we've been consolidating in this monthly BISI here. See if I draw a line. Respecting it, right? No body closes inside, so that's a good sign. And we have this monthly SIBI down up here where I'm assuming price is wanting to draw to, right? And whether they short from here or, continue higher, I'm not sure yet. I believe dollar is still pretty bullish on like a long-term, maybe reaching up into that SIBI up there. Some equal highs. You got some imbalances within here, but these are really long-term objectives, right? So in terms of this week, right, we could see a decline lower. Now, this is a potential monthly order block here, and I don't have it marked out because I have it marked out on a lower time frame. But if you know something about order blocks, or if you know order blocks well, you'll know that this is a smaller body order block. And when you have a smaller body order block, the wick to the open, wick to the open tends to be the sensitive levels, right? So you have this wick here at 103 roughly, so that could be a level of an area of, I guess, sensitivity maybe for this week. Maybe we could reject from there, but as we drop into the lower time frame, you'll see we also have a fair value gap here, right? 2 week fair value gap. Now remember, that high of that order block is about 103, so we could leave this fair value gap open. But on a lower time frame, right? Like if you look down, like let's say like even like a 4 hour lowest, right? Like we definitely have some imbalances in here, right? Just it's kind of like a really strong delivery in price, and I would believe we could revisit that level. Now, on the 2 week again, so I've marked out this fair value gap here at about 102.8, right? You got this 2-week fair value gap, I guess nested within that monthly order block. And I'm also noticing that we had this balanced price range high here. And if I extend this out, look at the candle body respect of that. That is algorithmic. 2 weeks in a row, right? Like just complete respect. The wicks don't matter as much, I guess you could say. Like the bodies is what really is telling the story here. So I think that this is a premium array, and we're respecting a premium array. We're probably going to want to see discounted prices. Now we could trade even lower, right? Lower than here, and I'm fine with that. Maybe down into this potential order block here, right? Or even into this as an order block, right? It's pretty small body, very large wicks, so we'll have to see. On a weekly chart, we have an implied fair value gap here. So I marked out that level too at 105 or 102.5, just as a potential level of discount to reach to. I don't have it marked out here because I believe it's a little close, and I do lean on this bearish bias here, coming off of this 2-week order block as well, right? 2-week order block, mean threshold, we've respected it well, but we do have a potential implied fair value gap here as well. I could just mark it out so you could see, right? And we are respecting the, I guess, low, but in terms of consequent encroachment of that weekly implied fair value gap, it's making it a little bit iffy, right? Especially just because we are in my eyes a little bit bearish short term. But we'll see. If this holds, I'm okay with it, right? Like my main objective is buy side, right? Above these highs into that monthly fair value gap. So what's interesting is when we drop down into a 12-hour, right? First, we could see that respect on that 2-week order block, mean threshold, very perfectly, right? Wicks reaching up into it, bodies closing below or right at it, which is perfect. And you'll see here, this is a really strong institutional signature here with, that drive up on liquidity, drive down. You have that order block, volume imbalance breaker here, and fair value gap. So causing a pretty nice, I guess you can say reversal pattern if you want to say that now. So you have this 12-hour fair value gap here. We may reach up into consequent encroachment or get stopped by this potential order block's low. Right, so maybe that happens at around, 70, but 103.70 could be a potential level here, and that does come in at consequent encroachment of this 12-hour fair value gap. And again, I think it does look poised to run some sell side, right? Some, I guess, overzealous longs here could be seen in the lower half. Now, if we're looking at our commitment of traders and open interest, right? You can see that open interest is definitely low, right? In this consolidation, which is, I'll let you do your own research on that, especially with the commitment of traders. This doesn't mean anything, sell, buy, it doesn't mean anything, right? You can do your own research on that, but from what I'm seeing right now, even this daily fair value gap, right? It's small, but it's there. That could also act as a level of premium or resistance to drive price lower. Now, if you look at our daily dealing range right here, below 50% or below equilibrium, we have those levels. If we really drive down lower, we have this daily order breaker block and this daily fair value gap that I've denoted. That's if we're getting like really animated to the lower side, but I think a short-term drive down below equilibrium is probably enough to then spurt us higher into this monthly SIBI. Australian dollar. So we're looking at the monthly chart here, and we were in this monthly, I guess, balanced price range, right, from this fair value gap or the SIBI to this BISI right here, and you see that we've closed through it. Now, on a general turn, I'm more bullish dollar long term and bearish foreigns, but It doesn't mean that we can't reach up to short-term premiums. So we're going to treat this as a potential bearish order block. And you see that we've respected it in the past. So I'm not really expecting this specific level to be treated as, the panacea just drops from there, either in between here or mean threshold, right above this high, drive up and then continue on lower, possibly below these lows. I mean, if we get really animated below these lows, but I think it's just time for a body close below here and below here, right? At least into this rejection block. So on a 2-week, right, we're seeing, again, we got some volume imbalance here acting as a potential support. You got another volume imbalance down here. Actually, I did not annotate, so I will do that. Right, you got that volume imbalance down there. That could act as support later or just as a target later. You have a 2-week BPR here, right? And you can see that, again, price has really respected that level previously on that decline. Now, in terms of a weekly chart, right, we're just open, so maybe we create a fair value gap here. Say if we get a really strong retracement, we could probably get up into this weekly order block, or get down into this weekly order block right here. I'll mark it out, right? Just put that to 66.20, week 1 order block plus, and that'll be blue. If we get really, strong, a really strong retracement, they want to induce shorts early, that's fine. But what I'm seeing here is potential daily balance price range, right? And kind of making our way, above it, down, above it, maybe we go down. Think that if we're bullish this week, that this could be a potential level right here at 67 off this daily implied fair value gap, targeting this previous high up here, or maybe just the candle bodies. But again, with the news, probably going to drive up a little bit higher. 12-hour, again, this could be a potential order block. A 4-hour, we got a potential balance price range here, so I've marked that out just in case if we do go below 67, maybe we want to trade into that 80 level right there, take out some liquidity, fill in some imbalances, and then use this as support to go higher, right? This was a manipulation move down, so this could be a 4-hour dealing range as well, up into these highs. Now, this is going to be, a stretch to break above just because it is a long-term high, but I do like our odds of reaching up higher for that monthly premium level. So yeah, in terms of this week, I'm anticipating a potential retracement down, maybe a Tuesday low of the week, or if they're really bullish, then maybe just a Monday low of the week and then drive higher, but we'll see. And yeah, I mean, the previous week low is coming in down here. I think this is a protected level regardless of anything. So wherever you buy really would be safe below with this. And that's not financial advice, nor is it a trade that I am taking, but I'm just saying I think that the previous week low is pretty protected with a lot of price action, a lot of PD arrays, and we're probably going to continue our extension higher. Or fiber. So what I'm seeing right now is we had this monthly fair value gap here, pretty small. Nonetheless, we traded up into a beautiful reaction. So what I'm thinking is we're probably going to get trading into this monthly fair value gap here, which is a BISI. Lot of buy side here, right? This was euro crashed, it went below parity, and now, as you see, we left a very big imbalance of buyers, right? Buying offered, not enough selling offered. So I believe that we'll probably run liquidity here into this fair value gap. So my draw on liquidity, I guess like longer term, is lower euro, especially because it's higher dollar. On a 2-week perspective, we have this SIBI here from this reaction off this monthly fair value gap. So that's something to be interested in. But because of this monthly order block, potential monthly order block, it's not as confirmed as I'd want it to be, but we did take out some relevant liquidity into a monthly fair value gap. So it could act as an order block. It could act as as a premium level. On the weekly chart, we have this fair value gap nested inside of this order block, which is a good sign for an order block. And if you see here, the consequent encroachment of it comes in at 109.2, right? So that 20 institutional level, it's pretty nice. It looks good in terms of, draw up into a discount or into a premium. So I like that. And ideally, these lows into that monthly fair value gap is what I'm seeing. On a daily chart, we have this daily fair value gap here. We haven't traded into it yet. So I'm not confident in this acting as a direct support or discount level to drive up. We might want a little bit more of a retracement. So that's when you go down into like a 12-hour, or rather, 12-hour. This is actually not a daily. This is a 12-hour rejection block. So we have a rejection block down here. That's kind of like a really deep retracement, I would say, but it is possible. We are still relatively consolidated, and it's against our downside trend here. So I'm not gonna leave it out, right? That's why I put it down here. I do believe, and this is just an idea I was looking at here, we don't really need this on the chart, but we do have a 4-hour propulsion block here. And now this is more of something that I am, I guess, how would I put it? Studying for myself, where we have that 12-hour rejection block, right? And we're trading into it. So can this 4-hour act as a propulsion block off of that rejection block and this 4-hour order block, right? So you have this 4-hour order block, drive down into it. Can we use this as a propulsion block higher? Now it makes sense in terms of dealing range, right? We're looking at this being discounts from this gray line down, discounted prices, right? In terms of that 12-hour rejection block, that would be below 75 and probably below 79 retracement level, exactly, right? So turtle soup below this low into the rejection block, and probably into mean threshold of this 4-hour order block, right? So if you just check that out there, right, you get that consequent encroachment, whatever. So mean threshold maybe, and that comes in at 84.5, right? So you probably just decrease it into like an 80 level. This is if we're getting really low, right? And we're kind of getting a high resistance liquidity run signature to the upside. I do believe that this is likely the 4-hour propulsion block, and I just have these levels here just in case we do decide to go lower. Now, to get there, we have this 4-hour fair value gap. We have this 4-hour fair value gap as well that hasn't really been respected. You see, we drive up into it, kind of balancing it out, offer sell side, re-offer buy side, and then deliver sell side liquidity and leave this imbalance here. So we could fill this imbalance and then drive lower. So that'd be something I'd be watching if you're trading earlier. And yeah, so my bias on Euro right now is lower in terms of like, I guess, like on the week. And if we do react well in here, we could be bullish, and shorter term bullish up into that monthly order block, longer term bearish into that monthly fair value gap down here. GBP USD, cable, whatever you want to call it. So you see, last month we traded up into this fair value gap, and I have it just above that actual fair value gap high at 126.80. But we traded up into 126.79.5, and you can see the high up here beside that H, 126.79.5. So we technically traded up into it, reacted pretty well. Using this as a potential bullish order block to propel deeper and dig deeper into this SIBI here. So I believe that short-term draw on liquidity for pound dollar is actually a little bit higher, and I think a longer term objective would be down into this monthly order block here, which we haven't really traded into yet. So this could be a potential rejection block. I'm not saying it is, but it's a potential rejection block. So maybe we don't ever see this, but I like the odds of driving back down, taking out some of that internal liquidity there, and then we can see what happens from there. But on a 2-week basis right now, we got that 2-week volume imbalance. There's not a lot going on in terms of price action that's really pertinent to me. I just think that order flow is bullish. It looks like this is the high that's going to be taken. On a weekly chart, potential bullish order block right here. I don't know if we will drive down into that bullish order block in terms of this week. It's pretty deep, but I'm not going to leave the cards, or I'm not going to leave it out of the cards. In terms of daily, now I know that this is a little bit premium, right? If we're looking at the dealing range here, like here, it's a little bit premium, right? We're coming in at that premium level there, but I think that we've done a lot of work, right? If you analyze this price swing in terms of, okay, here's our order block, we've traded into the order block, right? We're respecting this bullish order block very well. The mean threshold of this order block is being respected beautifully and driving up. So like we're bullish on almost all time frames here. So I like the consequent encroachment of this daily fair value gap as a potential level to be long off of, and I'm just gonna, for my OCD sake, just drive it into there. So on a 4-hour, it's a little interesting here. Or was it a 12-hour? Yes. So you notice we have a 12-hour order block here and a 12-hour propulsion block. Now, the signature with the propulsion block is the mean threshold should be respected, just like every order block. Now, the sensitivity is going to be here, and you see, close above it, the sensitivity is massive, right, at this wick between the high and the low. And you see, right, that low comes in at 124, right? So the high of the wick was at 25. So if you were long from 20, right, that could have been a potential level to be long at, and obviously a very nice price delivery. But then we drive back down into it, dig a little bit deeper, respect the mean threshold beautifully, and we're continuing higher. So order flow is bullish right now. In terms of on the left side of the chart, we have that daily SIBI here that looks like we're filling, right? If you look at consequent encroachment of this sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, sorry, I'm just throwing a template on here, right? We've kind of respected that consequent encroachment, taking internal liquidity. So there is the potential of, let's say, reversal here, right? I could be wrong, and I'm not worried about being wrong, but I do like the idea of trading higher, right? There isn't, for me, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of resistance or, I guess, premium arrays that could drive price lower at this point. We've kind of already done some work on sell side here, and now it looks like we're resuming and taking buy side. We're in a consolidation, so there is something to be, I guess, taking it into an account. But I like the idea, again, just like all the foreigns that I'm seeing right now, is just let's drive a little bit lower. Let's take some internal liquidity out. Let's drive into a quote unquote discount array and reprice higher into this monthly fair value gap above previous month highs. And yeah, that concludes the weekly forecast, right? I only forecast these pairs here, right? I trade 5, forecast 6 because the dollar index, and we'll see how the week progresses, and then I guess I could do weekly reviews as well. So as a quick note, at the end of the video, we'll take a look at the commitment of traders here. So you see that pound had really, really low commitment of traders. Like I'm talking historically low. Not historically, but for recent years it was really low, right? They were pretty bearish. They're pretty bearish over here. So now we're starting to see an increase in open interest, right? And a consolidation. Again, if you know ICT, then you would know that in a consolidation, an increase in open interest means that there's probable manipulation to short. And what I mean by that is we're consolidating. How are they going to manipulate? This could be the manipulation in terms of taking out internal buy side liquidity, but I believe they'll probably run consolidation highs, find some more buy side liquidity to short from in this fair value gap and drive lower, right? And then if you take a look just at Euro USD, right, we're seeing similar signatures where we have, again, increasing open interest above average. Now we're not really in a consolidation on a daily, I would say. A small amount, right? We're still at that low commitment of traders, so maybe that running these highs up into this order block is sufficient enough to drive price lower once again. Australian dollar, very high open interest, right? And we were consolidating, as you could see, but if you notice, open interest started to spike right around in this level. They take highs, drive price lower. Now, open interest is continuing higher, right? With a commitment of traders buy program running. So we could run past these highs, and that's not something that I'm leaving out at all. Like we could continue up, probably trade up into this mean threshold of this order block, right? Running buy side liquidity one last time. Or we just have a short, shallow run above these highs and continue lower down into these lows over here. So I guess as a quick update on news, Monday's kind of blah. Don't really have anything, some orange. Tuesday, we got a nice load of CPI here. And, pound and euro have some good news. Wednesday looking beautiful. They got some core PPI. They got GDP. We got FOMC this week. So again, it's something that probably won't day trade on Wednesday morning, maybe in the afternoon. Thursday looks good again, right? We got some core retail sales, and Friday we got the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. So big week loading up. I think it'll provide opportunity on all fronts: day trading, scalping, swing, short-term trading. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. So